Thank you, and thank you all for coming out. You know, I know these conventions take away from your family time and all that's going on in your lives, so we all appreciate that. You know, when I sit here and I listen to Mr. Bratt speak, I hear the inaccuracies. My family's here. Listen, we are about a country of free speech, so decency is also part of this. So, I hear the inaccuracies. My wife and two of my kids are here, my mother and mother-in-law here, they hear the falsehoods. But of course, I'm tempted to fight fire with fire. But instead, let me just leave you with some thoughts to think over. You know, first of all, it is easy to sit in the rarefied environs of academia, in the ivory towers of a college campus with no accountability and no consequence. When you throw stones at those of us who are working every day to make a difference. It's easy. It's easy to say that you're going to stand up to Obama and the left-wing attack machine. But it is an entirely different thing to actually do it. To actually do it, to stand up and be counted. Now, after Obama was elected, I stood up and I led the fight in opposition to Obamacare. I personally went to the White House. I confronted Obama in person and gave him and held up a printed copy of the 2,000 pages of Obamacare and asked him to defend it, and he couldn't. And then, you know what he did? He came to Richmond, not just once, but several times after that to attack me. So after we, in the Republicans, gained the House, I sponsored a bill to fully and completely repeal Obamacare. Now, that bill, that repeal bill, passed the House, and if we do our job and we defeat Mark Warner, we can get the Senate to pass my repeal bill. My opponent was MIA, missing in action on Obamacare. So let's talk about taxes. Let's talk about taxes. I stood up and led the fight against Obama's repeated drive to increase taxes on the American people. And in fact, I was viciously attacked for refusing to negotiate a tax increase with this president. And I would do it again. And here's the point. While I was up, standing up, fighting with our president, refusing to go along, standing up to be counted against a tax increase, my opponent served on an economic advisory board to liberal Governor Tim Kaine. Now, wait a minute. Wait a minute. Here's the point. Here's the point. Okay, here's the point. The point is, another individual in his position later chose to actually remove himself from that board when a governor sought to go and increase taxes. That's what's called standing up. My opponent did not do that. Did not do that. So talking about standing up, just this week, I moved a bill in the House to hold Lois Lerner in contempt of Congress and to demand a special prosecutor from the Department of Justice. Why? Why? Because conservative groups have been targeted by the Obama administration just because they're conservative, and that's not who we are in America. We have got to stand up and fight. We can't just talk about it. We've got to fight this kind of government abuse. Now, this week I also moved a bill to establish a House Select Committee on Benghazi. I met with and spoke to Trey Gowdy and urged him to take on that task because we're going to get to the bottom of this. Americans died, and American people have a right to know what happened, have a right to know the truth. Now, as Majority Leader, I have said repeatedly that Harry Reid's amnesty bill is DOA and will never have a vote in the House of Representatives. Now, again, it's easy to sit here and throw stones from an environment where there are no consequences. We've got to fight for a strong America. We've got to fight to make sure that our kids have a brighter future. That's what I'm going to keep fighting for. I'm honored to have received your confidence to be your voice in Washington. Please go vote May 10th, and let's have a resounding victory for Virginia.